It's been a complete disaster so far trying to get this show on the air. I don't know why my whole computer setup is not working. My microphones aren't working. I probably sound really tinny. I'm sorry, but we're here and we've got a race taco in about an hour and a half. We got to get going here.
Mm-hmm. Sure
It,
do. I think it's
it
been 2 hours. Yeah.
look, I didn't look. We're beside ourselves here. I didn't even bring up the J ski. Oh, yeah, we got about an hour till lock, an hour and 20.
Two
This
and a
race
half
starts
hour. Well,
two and a
yeah.
half hour. All
Two
right,
and a half hours.
we've
We're
got
all
some
right.
time.
We're chilling.
All right. Well, oh, what's up, Chad? Look, I don't know. Sounds fine. Okay, perfect. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So then we ought to do a show taco. Truck race went pretty well last night. I think Corey Heim ultimately won somehow.
Yeah. Amazing
Much
move
to
on the
my
final lap.
chagrin, holding many Ross Chastain tickets, but a good race, and I suspect we'll get another good race here.
Yeah, and we should point out that last week, the O'Reilly's race. I just feel like we capped that one perfectly. We had two members chop the big piston top prize there. So just a week with the Army on top, everything was on point. We look to be doing that again this week here at Darlington, which is one hell of a race. Not quite as crazy as tomorrow's going to be, but I mean, O'Reilly series has been pretty crazy.
Yeah, this has been a great race the last couple of years. If you missed it yesterday, Darlington very much a skill expression track, and we have some
Hmm.
skill expression type of drivers in this race. Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson, obviously the headlines here. Uh, Kyle Larson won the race last week, but he certainly wasn't dominant. Wasn't supposed to be in this race this week. Alex Bowman was supposed to be in the car. Larson steps in and replaces uh, Alex Bowman, and now we have a $15,000 salary Kyle Larson situation we've got to navigate. But it's a little, I think the strange thing about this, and we'll get into this, is it's a 15,000 Larson slate, but the presence of Christopher Bell really complicates that. There's there's a lot of salary to spend, especially in this upper range. I mean, how often have we seen three drivers above 11,000 salary?
Yeah, and over 50 less laps than last week. This is a very low lap count intermediate race, which is weird 'cause it's smaller than Las Vegas, just track size wise, but many less laps, the same number of laps as the Truck Series race.
Yeah, we'll get into it a little deeper, but you've got it even projected here, 50 lap led, 30 fast laps, and call it a win. That still only doesn't get you, or that still only scores you 70 points. It doesn't even get you to that 5x kind of value multiplier you're looking for.
Hmm.
It's very difficult to play Kyle Larson in this situation.
Yeah, and I imagine Christopher Bell's going to be the chalk here as he just absolutely destroyed practice. Larson was the last to go out. Qualifying order mattered a bit more this week as the earlier you went out, the more screwed you were. So you saw guys, like your usual guys, qualify up front, like Taylor Gray, because of them getting into trouble last week. Sam Mayer also, like these guys had much worse qualifying runs than expected. And yeah, it's the guys at the very end. Larson being that guy at the very end had the best track conditions. Boom, put him on the pole. Although, yeah, practice wise, not really looking the best. Like Bell just had one hell of a standout practice. So I guess we can go look at practice time first and foremost because the long run speeds are gonna matter a lot here.
Yeah, it's always the case is everybody goes about the same speed early in a run, and then when you get 10, 15, 20 laps on at Darlington, that's when you really start to see that changing and the comers and goers happen. We saw it last night. It's three different times in um, the truck series. Eckes came from the back in the first stage. Riggs came from the back in the second stage, and then kind of all hell broke loose in the third stage. But yeah, practice time is going to be very important here. Though I wouldn't be too concerned about Larson's practice
Mm-hmm.
times. You know, we never really see him go and practice for speed, especially at a place like Darlington. I think the confusing thing that might complicate our practice analysis is they do have two sets of tires, and you can see it here. Um, you can kind of see it visually where each team switched their tire set. I would say that second run, in theory, would be more predictive, but you never know what people's goal with that second run is. They might have gone and done two hot laps on their second set of tires, doing a qualifying sim and then run it out. But now they've got two qualifying laps on. So you've got the first run, which is probably the more reliable run. Um, put out
Mhm.
here as well. Is that what appears on the research station? Is this first run only,
No,
or is this in
yeah,
general?
no, that's just full on. So yeah.
Gotcha. So I think what we can do here from the practice is we did get that first run. We did get quite a few laps. We can probably scrape off the first 15 and kind of get an idea of where the long run speed was. Again, track changed a lot. The guys that went out early are going to be much more high on the chart
Mhm.
here. But if we sort just by best guess, just to kind of get a look at it, you'll see Larson really start to pop off the page. Wouldn't look too much into the Sieg brothers here. They went out early. Retzlaff, I don't really even know what to do with Retzlaff. He's just been incredible all weekend. But then you start to see some of the names you would expect. Creed, Chastain, Bell a little further down the board, but he rectified that in his second run, so I wouldn't even be too
Mhm.
concerned about that.
Yeah, it's probably even worth investigating into just who did really well in that second run as well. It
I do
is,
think I have it some, maybe not in this sheet, but yeah, it wasn't anything that would be that would surprise you. It was Larson and Bell on the top on the second run as well.
and Bell really stuck out in the second run. He stuck out really early. He had good like early run speed, like really really good early run speed. And that first run, that second run, it looks like he kind of smoothed things out. But Bell and Larson in qualifying, we could see they were kind of heads and shoulders above the rest of the field here, and they're starting 1-2, so makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. But they're very expensive.
Let's head over to the historical summary tab. I think the first thing worth noting out, we still see that dominance come from the first row a lot of the times, but it's not as pronounced as it is in the truck series where the pole sitter always seems to lead significant laps. It's more just anywhere in the top 10. You start to see guys be potential dominator candidates, but it's very linear in the middle as well. There's no real difference between starting seventh and starting 26th. Again, like we did with the truck race last night, it's more so about finding those good trucks with good drivers that had a poor qualifying run than anything. It's not necessarily somewhere, unless you're playing Larson and you're forced into like a stars and scrubs lineup. It's not a situation where you're seeking deep place differential. It's just good drivers and good trucks you really want to find.
And how much of that would you chalk up to just the timing difference with the truck series qualifying kind of being later on in the day, and the O'Reilly qualifying happening usually early on, so the track conditions kind of matter a bit more than um, just overall speeds. You can see is more sorted out qualifying wise with the truck series here. I mean, some guys just got a little bit screwed because they wrecked the week before, and it just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, it's certainly something to consider. So as you build your lineups, obviously it's a little bit untraditional how you're going to build your lineups this week. Larson, if you're playing Larson, you've got to get really, really deep into the value. But otherwise, if you're playing Bell lineups or Allgaier lineups, it's really about finding those cars, whether they start ninth or whether they start 31st, that have the opportunity to push forward relative to their starting position. It doesn't necessarily need to be deep place
Mhm.
differential. And there are some good value plays, but there's not a ton of super obvious place differential plays anyway. So it makes it interesting.
Yeah, and with places like this where long run speed matters a lot more than hot lap speed, it kind of complicates qualifying that much more.
Absolutely. Do you have oh no, we'll go over here. I always mess this up. Yeah, let's just to do it
Mhm.
this way. We'll look at this race last August. We had three cars in the top 10 hit the optimal. Everybody else was outside of the top 15. Um, Similar story. We had both cars starting on the front row hit the optimal. That's quite unusual. Outside of that, it was all guys outside of the top 20, save for Chase Elliott, who started 16th. That's a bit of a weird situation. And then you go back to 24, we had looks like four or five guys starting in the top 11 hit the
Yeah, we had
optimal. So yeah, place differential certainly isn't the name of the game today.
yeah, we had a couple ties there, but yeah, you'll see two of the last three times out here we've had uh, one solo dominators, and with 147 laps, which is much less than last week at Las Vegas, it seems like at least one dom is going to be the very clear rule for the domination station.
Yeah,
You
I
can
would
see
agree.
those. I mean, both 2024 races had like the most lead laps of anyone since COVID.
Yeah, this is a pretty unusual stat line to have 100
Mhm.
plus laps led at Darlington. Just doesn't tend to happen that often. It's much more common, and you can see it
Mhm.
here. You just get a couple guys with kind of 40 to 50 laps led. That's kind of what a dominator looks like at Darlington, and then fast laps can make a difference as well. But
Mhm.
yeah, at least one dominator seems like the play, and it even gets more complicated. If you're playing Larson, it's got to be at least one dominator. You're not going to get two dominators in.
Yeah, and keep in mind that the 2024 races didn't really have Kyle Larson in it, and that helps the field a whole lot. One of them did have Christopher Bell in it. He absolutely shit stomped the field, but with this having Chastain, Larson, and Bell in it, this has got to be. I mean, you'd figure this is a bit of a bushwhacking week. Like, unfortunately, Allgaier, as great as he is here, probably takes a little bit of a step back in this field.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we'll get into it, and maybe it's a good time to head over to fastlap.io, buy website. A lot of updates this week, particularly in the O'Reilly series. What we can do is sort by the tire code we're using um, this weekend, and it's 6106, 6130, the exact same combination we used in the truck series last night. But the Xfinity cars or the O'Reilly cars have had a lot more runs on it.
Mm-hmm.
And well, you'll see some names: Hamlin, Bell, Larson, Custer, some of those dominators, some of those Cup guys we see come in. The first regular name on the list is Justin Allgaier, and he leads a ton, more than anybody on this tire combination in terms of laps led and fast laps. And then Cole Custer, Kyle Larson, John Hunter, Christopher Bell. You got to go all the way down to Austin Hill to get anywhere near the amount of laps led that Justin Allgaier gets on this tire combination. So Justin Allgaier is going to be an interesting one too. And we saw him; he might have been the fastest car last week at Las Vegas, even with Kyle Larson in the field.
Yeah, and even just those random one-off names that you mentioned being really fast, like Bell, Hamlin, like a lot of things point to JGR being really good at this track, and something that we're seeing really in all three series, just Toyota being really good at this track in particular. This is I guess, the most skill expressive of all the tracks, probably the biggest tire fall off, especially in Cup. That one's going to be insane. So it's really just about managing. It's a rhythm track. It's a lot of these things point towards Toyota being pretty fast across the board. Even Eric Almirola, you saw pretty good here. John Hunter
Yeah,
Nemechek.
yeah, absolutely. That kind of all-star car for the JGR team has been very, very good on this tire type. This full-time driver's button doesn't quite work the way I want it to, but it kind of does, and it'll give you an idea of who the fast regulars on this tire type have been. Justin Allgaier obviously popping off. Then both the RCR cars have been very, very good. That should come
Mhm.
as no surprise. They've been very good on the intermediates. Sam Mayer has been very good. Sheldon Creed, again, kind of moving to the factory team. And then you kind of get some of the mid-pack guys. Sanchez jumps out. Now he's in a different situation. So take that with a grain of salt. Harrison Burton, the same thing. And then Brandon Jones, who has a really weird history on this tire that includes winning this race last year in a field that had Christopher Bell in the same equipment as him. So another one we've got to keep an eye on.
And he's bounced back and forth between teams as well in that span.
Yeah, absolutely. One other thing worth pointing out here before we get into the driver by driver, you can also
High
sort
tire.
by high tire wear or high
Mhm.
line viable. But we'll
Yeah.
go to high tire wear tracks. I'm going to take off full-time drivers, and you'll see again Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell just jump off the page on high tire wear tracks. And then Justin Allgaier, the same thing as the best of the regulars.
Just
But yeah,
veteran
certainly.
presence. Big time there.
And if you go to high line viable tracks, again, you're going to see Justin Allgaier at the top by a pretty significant amount, but you're also going to find Hill there as well. Not as much Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, or excuse me, there we go. There's Kyle Larson. There's Christopher Bell. You look at Kyle Larson's performance on high line viable tracks in the Xfinity Series, no finishes outside of the top
Mm-hmm.
five since 2023. Significant laps led in every single one of them. But worth noting, a lot of place differential here too that he doesn't have the opportunity to grab this week.
Yeah, he's also 12K, not 15K. So that's kind of what we're dealing with this slate here.
One other thing you can do with fast lap, go over to the pit stop tab. You'll get an idea. This is much more usable than the truck series setup right now. Get an idea of what the best pit crews are. Jesse Love, just a significant advantage over the field right now when it comes to pit crew. I mean, full half second is one or two spots per pit stop he's gaining over these Joe Gibbs crews. But the other thing worth noting here, that 88 crew was fine. 15 seconds is the fine pit stop. Joe, that number 19 team is again fine. 15 seconds is completely fine. Nothing to worry about when it comes to Christopher Bell or Kyle Larson's crew, but they certainly have nothing on Jesse Love, depending how close Jesse Love can get to the front today.
Just give me 1 sec. I'll be right back.
Yeah, while you do that, I will pay some bills here. And again, this is fastlap.io, a site we've been working on all season. I do send all of these analytics that come from fastlap.io. So you'll get last 5 races or top 5 drivers at Darlington, top 5 drivers on the tire combination we're using this week, and then the top 5 pit crews so far in that season for every single race, Truck Series, Xfinity Series, and Cup Series. You'll get it direct to your inbox. You just need to go to fastlap.io and put your email in there. I won't sell your information. I won't do any weird stuff. You can get signed up and you'll get this direct to your inbox. But if you want to use it yourself, you can do all these stuff by tire codes, track type. Very useful. Before we go into the driver by driver, I'm going to switch this back to tire type because I find that to be the most predictive.
Hell yeah.
We'll go back over here. Taco is back, and Taco, we've already talked a lot about Kyle Larson, but we've got to talk more about him. 15,000 salary. How on earth does Kyle Larson hit the optimal here?
By leading 100+ laps, like we've seen Bell do here, like we've seen Allgaier do back in 2024. That's pretty much what needs to go down, and he needs to win also. So it's in the cards for him. Is that the expectation for a track like this? No. Is Bell fast? Yes. Is Allgaier gonna be perma top 3? Probably. It really depends on how competitive, like the RCR cars are, Chastain, even like Brandon Jones, and just overall the carnage levels here. That's a lot of things need to go right for Kyle Larson to pay off his price. Now, he was 15,000 last week. He was 36% owned. Had a touch of place differential to go around, but that was Las Vegas with 50 more laps. A better track for him historically. This has been a real touchy spot for him in Cup. It's a really good track for him, but he tends to run into problems a lot. He ran into a problem here the last time he was here in the O'Reilly car. So really, really, really dangerous person to spend like a significant amount of your salary on. But I mean, if anyone's gonna lead 100 laps here, it's gonna be Larson. But Bell just seems like he's gonna be the higher owned option for sure. I would be interested to see how the odds shift. I would imagine Larson stays the favorite, but the practice times and whatnot may put Bell like a bit closer. Again, the odds are going to really tell a lot of the story. We're probably not going to get those till close to lock.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how that comes out. I suspect Kyle Larson will be close to an even money favorite, but for him to pay off from a fantasy perspective here, he needs to win, he needs to dominate, and this race can't have too many carnage because we also can't kill a ton of fast laps because he's going to need the fast laps as well to hit optimal. I just think this is a situation where if you're interested in playing Larson, it's kind of like a situation we were in last year. Mm-hmm. You're better off playing him on the sports book because if you're playing him in DFS, you're playing him to win anyway. So that's a better way to approach it. I'll be quite underweight on Kyle Larson in just about all my lineups or all my runs today. But yeah, to your point, the most obvious, it's the exact same thing with Las Vegas last week. The most obvious script is Kyle Larson wins and dominates. But it's just rare that we get a 15,000 salary driver with an almost as likely dominator right underneath him. Like when we get these 15,000 Larson or Kyle Busch slates, it's usually him being the only Cup regular in the field in a competitive car. Now you've got Christopher Bell in arguably as good, if not a better car than Kyle Larson. So it's just really hard to get the Larson at 15,000 salary here.
Yeah, and I guess one thing that kind of works in his favor is there aren't any like free upper mid-range place differential plays that sometimes keep these $15,000 guys out of the optimal by just having sort of like what we saw at Las Vegas, where you had enough good, decent guys in like the mid-range to where even though he won and led a pretty decent amount of laps, he was nowhere near the optimal because the the secondary dominators did good enough, led enough laps, and the place differential guys did enough.
Yeah, and you go back and you look at Kyle Larson's track history or kind of race log in the Xfinity series, there has been instances of pure domination. I mean, Bristol,
Mhm.
obviously, Homestead, almost a different thing as well. But other than that, there's also been some pretty mediocre runs considering. I mean, he only led 47 laps, wasn't super dominant at Vegas last week in the exact same car. Texas last
Mhm.
year wasn't great, only led 30 laps, wouldn't be anywhere near the optimal. A couple years ago, had some runs at Darlington where he only had one or two laps led. And even this race, back in the first race in 2013, started third, won the race, but only led 46 laps. That wouldn't be enough to hit the optimal in this situation. So you can definitely tell yourself a story.
Mhm. Yeah, it's gonna need like a really, really, um, really good run here. Like everything just kind of needs to fall into place. I could still see him leading like 60, 70 laps and maybe not even hitting the optimal there if like enough of the laps go to like cheaper dominators that you can't really get with him or like a Bell or something. Like if it's split 50-50 Bell or even 60-40 Larson to Bell, like Bell is the much more appealing option there, being $2,500 cheaper. It's just like a money thing at the end of the day.
Yeah. JJT, who had the least amount of fall off in practice. I think Bell definitely stood out. Larson was fine. Allgaier was fine. There was nothing in practice that stood out enough to say, like,
Mhm.
oh, these guys, they've got a car heads and tails above the rest. Larson and Bell were both the cream of the crop. Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer stood out a little too. But it was a weird practice. It's not often we get two tire sets in practice, so that made the data a little fuzzy. You never know what
Mhm.
somebody's goal and is with that second set of tires. So not super reliable data, but there wasn't anything that surprised me
Yeah,
in
and
the data.
there's spotty on and off cloud coverage as well, which also can make people look a little faster than they are. So definitely take the practice times with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely. Christopher Bell will start right beside Kyle Larson. He's second. Um, Won this race in late 2024. Started on the pole in this race last year. Didn't end up getting the finish, though he led, but he was passed early in that run. If we go back to that Darlington race last year, we did see, I think it was Justin Allgaier eventually get by him, though it was under caution. But he Bell led 27 laps, but never really recovered, and then found trouble late in that race. Wasn't able to make good on first place starting spot, but really good in practice. Really great car. This 19 car has been the best of the JGR cars by far. This is the place I think where I start most of my lineups.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard not to. I guess you could tell yourself he's going to be certainly the chalk of the slate. I couldn't imagine a situation where he's not, just because Larson and Bell seem to be such the cream of the crop, and he's so much more reliable. Kind of want to look at how the 19 car did last. Oh yeah, Christopher Bell's in this last race, of course. But yeah, what would the 19 car do year before? I don't know. What matters here is him and Larson, pretty much P1, P2. The price difference, insane. It
We had
it's
Joe
kind of
Graff
hard to.
Jr. in the 19 car in the
Yeah,
second Darlington race, so
I
not
say it
super
doesn't.
reliable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, really, just have that last race to look off of here, and I mean, he ended up getting into trouble with that race, but still won the fall race in 2024. Yeah, I think the odds are going to kind of make this decision for me. If like Bell gets really close to Larson, it's going to be. I mean, he's just going to look like the guy here. I did see that the inside line tends to do a little bit better in the historical. Like first, third, and fifth do really well. Second, fourth, and sixth not so much. But some of that can be a little shaky still, even though we've ran a pretty decent amount of races here. Usually racing twice a year at this track, and I don't know. I would this is a weird track for. I mean, we'll probably get into talking to him here about him here. Allgaier, despite his finishes here being amazing and his wins here being awesome, not like the greatest track overall for him when it comes to just leading a bunch of laps. He had the one dominating run here in early 2024, but that was without the Cup guys in the field.
Yeah, certainly leads in laps led at Darlington going back to 2023,
Mhm.
but
It's just
not as big of a
quantitative.
jump as you're
Yeah.
usually seeing with Justin Allgaier. I mean, Justin John Hunter Nemechek led almost the same amount of laps and probably 3 or 4 less races. Christopher Bell in 2 races, Larson in 2 races. It's not a race where you see Justin Allgaier go and lead 150 laps. And now with Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell to deal with, and Ross Chastain too, who we haven't even talked about yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly a rougher path to any sort of domination for Justin Allgaier. But we did see Allgaier get up and lead a significant portion of this race with Christopher Bell in it last year. Similar
Mm-hmm.
situation. Now he's got the same gear as Kyle Larson, though, so that becomes a little more complicated. But I still think Justin Allgaier is a fine play. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
think one of these guys will hit the optimal, and so I think you can play. I'll probably play Allgaier more than I play Larson, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I think one of the concerns I had with him is he doesn't get a lot of fast laps. That's what I was thinking. He doesn't get a lot of fast laps this race, despite running really well, at least comparatively to how he does at all the other intermediate tracks where we've seen huge chunks, like him averaging like 20, 30 fast laps at a track. And that's kind of what Darlington does. Darlington tends to give the fast laps to those guys that are uh, just has the fresher tires. Like we've seen, some shittier drivers get some fast laps just because they're on fresher tires. And that kind of hurts these guys. So it's these guys being 11, 12, 15K, and they're being 50 less laps than the usual intermediate track. It just kind of points more towards like one of these guys being optimal. It's going to be really hard for two of these guys to get in there. And that's where Allgaier seems like the third one out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned it yesterday for the Truck Series. An off-schedule pit stop can completely ruin the distribution of fast laps. Even by 2 or 3 laps, we saw Riggs in the second stage. He was only offset on tires by a little bit, and he racked up fast laps. So it can be very unpredictable trying to gauge fast laps. Ross Chastain will start 9th. He's kind of the odd man out in this situation. My concern with Ross, I put this in my notes, is just his long run pace is always a concern. Um, and he seems to not be able to dominate these races in the Xfinity Series. We've seen it from time to time, but in a field that has Larson, Bell, and Allgaier, to see Chastain go out and lead 50 laps or 100 laps would seem pretty unusual to me. And it's always his long run pace that's the concern. He falls off. We saw it in the truck race. Now that probably had more to do with Nice Motorsports than Ross himself, but in these series that punish tire wear a little more, we see him tend to struggle.
Yeah. Again, I was more excited about him in the Truck Series, and it came to be pretty much correct yesterday. In the Xfinity Series, again, as we're getting farther away from these from the next gen car becoming a thing, as they get more used to that, like again, we're seeing these Cup guys just kind of struggle more and more as we get farther away from the cars being closer apart, like they were at the Gen 6. And, we've seen it with Chastain pretty much struggling to get any sort of dominator points anytime we see him. Even though this is one of his better tracks, it's a difficult spot for him, just with price being so up there.
Yeah, you look at his game log in the Xfinity Series. Obviously, had a really good race in Iowa last year, but other than that, never really more than about like 20 fast laps, including in this race in this car last year. Led 20 laps, average running position outside of the top 5, only 13 fast laps. This is the exact same tire combination, exact same team. So you would need to see Ross Chastain take a significant leap from where he was last year in the exact same situation, and now with Kyle Larson in the same gear, in the same car, starting in front of him. Just a really tough kind of road for Ross Chastain. We know he'll be electric on restarts. It's just, can he get up front and can he stay there if he does?
Yeah, that's the hard part. I mean, we saw it yesterday with him flying out there on all the restarts. It works out well if it's a carnage race, but being able to hold on to that in the long run, and just there being better junior motorsports cars in the field than him this week.
Works out well if Corey Heim doesn't secretly take scuffed tires and just drive by him and cost me thousands of dollars. But alas, I don't get too upset about that.
Tough beat.
Jesse Love, well, I guess to kind of put a bow on these top 4, it feels like Christopher Bell is both of our favorite DFS play. Then it gets to Allgaier, and then kind of do what you want with Larson and Chastain. I find myself probably going to be a little underweight on both them. I'll try to be a little overweight on Christopher Bell, but that'll be harder to do. I think I'll probably be over on Allgaier too. Allgaier is, I think,
ownership with Allgaier has been so weird because like people hate him. I feel
Yeah.
like this is with all the wins he has here. I think this is the week that people will be like, all right, after last week, I'm not going to pump him again. Surely his ownership goes back to being fine, right? Like he was ridiculously under owned last week. Ended up flying up there leading the laps. Larson didn't look all that great early on. Surely the field adjusts, right? Like if they don't, I'll take some Allgaier. But if uh like I feel like the field will adjust and start playing a little bit more Allgaier. He's not going to be like high teens, low 20%. Like he'll get up to a quarter or more of the field having them. Then I'm not really going to be too huge on him just because the Dominator upside isn't quite there. And he's 11.5, which is expensive. Now I might like Chastain a little more, but I don't know. It depends. It's been hard to predict the field specifically with Allgaier over the last like year. They always underrate him.
Yeah, and even the start of the season, there's been a lot more presence of Cup drivers that have complicated it even more. But yeah, I
Exactly
think if
that.
you
He's always chalk whenever there's no Cup drivers. It's the Cup drivers come in and people forget that Allgaier is literally him at intermediate track. So I don't know.
if you look at potential leverage versus upside, I think Justin Allgaier is the best play because I do think there is a situation where he wins and dominates this race, even over Bell and Larson. But I just think Bell is going to be a lot to deal with here. Larson, I think, is very good too. He's just not playable in this situation at this salary. And you also have to consider Larson's going to hit the wall at least 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of if he wrecks his car or not. Bell a little more consistent when it comes to staying out of the wall, but also not as fast. So swings and roundabouts, got to make some decisions there. We got to talk about Jesse Love. He starts 10th.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the consistency on intermediate tracks.
Yeah.
Concern
insane.
here, priced up at 9,500. Not a whole lot of Dominator upside. If you look at the history on this tire type,
you showed all those great finishes, but like no podiums in that entire stretch. So he kind of has even more, like to a more extent of the Allgaier problem here, where he's gonna run pretty well, but just be boxed out by the faster guys. He literally is just like fifth all the time. And does that get it done at 9.5? I don't think so.
Priced a little too high and very hard to play with one of these top 4 guys, which are kind of going to have. So not a whole lot of interest in Jesse Love. Same can be said with Austin Hill, who hasn't been nearly as impressive. I mean, Jesse Love has seemed to take over for him in the A car for RCR. Austin Hill's just kind of taken a step back on intermediates.
Allergic to fast laps.
Doesn't dominate, doesn't get fast laps, and there's not a whole lot of place different. Like I would be surprised to see kind of 2023 Austin Hill go run top 5 here. 2026 Austin Hill seems to run around 10th all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to save some money up here, and it's like you've got to be confident these guys are going to dominate the race if they're 9K and above. And I would probably prefer like Brandon Jones over these guys, like straight up.
Yeah, it's a good time to talk about Brandon Jones. He starts 8th, won this race last year, wasn't the fastest car, but did get some fast laps. If we go look, he did have, I think, 18 fast laps, which was the second most in the field. Darlington and Kansas. You just got to pay attention to Brandon Jones at Darlington and Kansas for whatever reason. He's very, very good at this track.
You can see when he's not, he wrecks out. Like it's a real boomer bust kind of thing here. But won 2020, won the most recent race in 2025, and it's pretty much avoided the top 5 outside of those runs. So just pure GPP play, but also looks solid in practice. And the interview with him, he seemed pretty damn happy about his car. He really likes this place.
Yeah. He's done pretty well. I think even if you go back to 24, when he was in the JRM cars, maybe not as competitive as the JGR cars at the time, but still ran top 10 before he crashed out in that race. So great track for Brandon Jones. Should stay in the top 10 all day. Should get some fast laps at some point. Race winning upside seems a little bit capped, but super playable. Just a shame that I was hoping we'd get him priced kind of like lower 8,000s. But apparently the word is out on Brandon Jones at Darlington. I guess the win last year did a lot of heavy lifting for him.
Yeah,
but, still playable.
I don't know if you guys can hear. Sorry if this is showing up on my mic, but they're having a freaking Michael Vick dog fight in the next house over. So if you can hear that, it's my bad. I am not about to go mess with them.
Carson Guafel starts 3rd. Not super interesting. The only thing that's interesting about this to me is Rodney Childress. Rodney Childress Darlington setup is like gold in any series. We've seen Carson Quaffle take a pretty significant step forward. He's been competitive at just about every race this year. Starting third with Larson and Bell in front of you, with Allgaier right beside you, Chastain going to be on your door in a couple laps, makes it very difficult to play. But we've seen Rodney Childress nail the setup at Darlington before.
Mhm.
If he does that again, it's not going to matter who's in this car. He's going to win by about 10 seconds. So I think you should. I think the way to do this is have a couple bills with Carson Quaffle, but not a guy I'm focusing too much on today.
It looks like, I mean, the practice speed is there, early run speed at least. I think the way to go with this is in a more carnage heavy run. I could see him like being really good at the restarts and whatnot. Again, he's just starting behind freaking Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, and he's
Yeah,
still pretty expensive. Like he's getting priced up now.
another guy who's priced up a little too high. He's crawling up. Bubba Wallace stayed 7,500 for about 3 years straight. Carson
Yeah,
Quaffle has two good. Carson Quaffle has two good runs, and all of a sudden he's 9K. I don't get
yeah.
it. But yeah, fine play, and Rodney Childress is a magician at Darlington, so something to consider.
You ready for the most
Sam,
cursed play of the season so
Sam
far?
Mayer.
Jesus
Uh,
Christ, this guy can't catch a break.
he starts sixth. Really fast in practice, probably the one that stood out the most besides Larson and Bell, and has been pretty good on this tire type, um, especially
Well,
among regulars. Pretty
I need
consistent.
I need to point out he qualified mad early because he's been having such an awfully cursed season. You can see with the 35th place finish, him and Gray both ended up having a really not ideal qualifying time, but Mayer was super fast for someone that had to go out early.
Yeah, ended up holding for sixth. Had a lot of speed. Not a great track historically for Sam Mayer. Has a couple top
Mhm.
five runs, but no real domination to speak of. But like I said, on this tire type, has been pretty good. Has had some fast laps at time. Um,
I mean, a lot of that was in the Annette car too,
yeah,
which
that's
has not
true.
really been standout here.
The only concern is his average running position stands outside of the top 10, finishes a lot better than he
Mhm.
runs at 88 or 8,500 salary. Probably not going to get you all you need to hit optimal here, but a fine sprinkle play, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And it's that price range where it kind of works out as like a second option if you're running Larson lines, or the third option if you're running not Larson lines. You're
Yeah.
gonna see like this range up here actually is quite nice. And if these guys end up doing well, it's gonna really hurt. Like if multiple of these guys run well, it'll probably end up hurting Larson, especially if you get one guy in the 9-10K range that puts up like a half decent performance. Just mathematically, you're not gonna be able to afford these guys as your third option if you're running Larson with one other more expensive guy.
Taylor Gray starts 15th in a JGR car. This hasn't been a great track for Taylor Gray. You got to scroll pretty far down to find him. Yeah, there he is. Ranks, I had him and now I lost him again. Ranks 42nd among drivers on this tire type. Just hasn't been great. Ran okay at Rockingham, but outside of the top 20 and all the other starts, hasn't run super well at Darlington. Only real reason to play him is you're getting a JGR car starting 15th at 8,300, but we'd have to see something from Taylor Gray that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, another guy that got screwed with qualifying, but usually qualifies well and goes backwards. So now he just gets to start in the middle and kind of stay in the middle. Not don't like this play much at all.
Sammy Smith is a little more interesting. He's a play that I
Mhm.
really like. He's been pretty good at Darlington and really seems to have taken a step forward as of late. Ran really well at Las Vegas, showed kind of borderline race winning speed at time. Pretty good on this package. You look at this tire combination, top 10 at the last two races here. Um, Not a whole lot of dominator upside when it comes to Sammy Smith, but at 8,100, starting
Mhm.
18th, you don't need a whole lot of laps led to hit optimal here.
Yeah, that's cheaper than the average price, and I think the broadcast nailed it when they pointed out that Sammy Smith is just low key Chase Elliott.
Yeah, it's just never really leads last, but always seems to get a good finish.
Mhm.
Um, Andrew B. Optimizers are going to push more towards Bell. You think Larson comes in lower owned than we think. It's not even really an ownership thing with Larson. It's just can you build a lineup or enough lineups that seem competitive at with a guy like 15,000? Like it's almost not an ownership game when it
Mhm.
comes to your decision making with Larson. But it's a good thing to point out. I think optimizers will struggle to find um, enough Larson lines that make sense to push them. But I think in this situation too, we see a lot of kind of Ryan Ellis, Austin Green, Josh Balicki lineups that optimizers just kind of forced to try to get Larson in. So
Yeah, it's gonna be
it's a good thought, but
combinations. Like I'm very sure that Bell is going to be way more popular in like the mini max than your 1 and 3 entry,
Yeah.
more hand buildy, more expensive contests. So you may want to kind of mix and match your approach there, and the cross ownership with things like those Ryan Ellis's of the world with Kyle Larson. If you can get different there, you can have some unique Larson lines. Like just because you have Larson, it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna just chop with a bunch of people. I think the way that the lower series has been so far, you're going to chop with someone else. Like even last week, we had the winning lineup, and they had to chop with another DFS Army member because that's just how it goes around here in the lower series. But unless something really ridiculous happens, which can happen at Darlington, but probably to a lower extent in these lower series races than we should be expecting on Sunday. Probably gonna end up having to chop with someone here unless something strange happens.
Yeah, yeah. So Sammy Smith, I think, is a really great play. Another great play is Sheldon Creed. He'll probably go over a little over owned than he ought to, starting 13th. But he's had a really great start to the season. And if you go look at
Mhm.
regular performance on Darlington specific for full time drivers, Sheldon
Mhm.
Creed ranks top 5. He's had some really good runs here. That 2024 August race that Christopher Bell ended up winning, Sheldon Creed was in position to win that race before there was a late
Mhm.
caution, and it kind of got weird from there. But he's had some really good runs. Not too worried about any. They'll have his car fixed up in no time. I'm never really too worried about damage in practice. But um, really good play, really good track for Sheldon Creed, and seems like he's kind of in the midst of a career year right now.
I would be very interested to see how these lines change because he came in as an insane odds to pricing value,
Yeah.
but the practice speeds weren't really there and had a pretty mid qualifying performance. Despite I mean, hitting the wall there kind of sucks. It held him back a little bit. I would be interested to see what the books have to say about this. I imagine he goes to like 15, 13, something around there.
I don't know. I haven't heard Creed to the back. If he is, even that wouldn't worry me too much. There's enough kind of bad cars that he'll cut through the field and get back to kind of the top 15 pretty
Mhm.
quickly. So if he is to the rear, not a super big concern. Um, Corey Day will start 12th. I think I better let you talk about Corey Day because I'm going to overvalue him mightily. I'm 100% sold on Corey Day. But what does this play look like for you, Taco?
I mean, you should actually be the one to talk about this because Loki has been kind of like putting shit together at the intermediate tracks. Just, I mean, for a rookie at Darlington, which is like the most brutal tracks for rookies. With that in mind, please give me your thoughts on Corey Day here.
Listen, you can if you are like me and you watch the lap time more than the actual screen, I watch
Mhm.
lap data during a race more than I actually
Yep.
watch the race. If you're a fellow lap watcher like me, then you're 100% sold on Corey
Mhm.
Day. He makes speed when nobody else can make speed. It's really incredible. And if
Yeah.
you watch his in-car camera, he does it in a really weird way. He abuses his tires. He's always super, super loose, and for some reason he doesn't fall off. Corey Day is going to win a ton of races in whatever
Mhm.
series he settled in. He's I've been watching. I mean, I don't mean to overvalue, but I've never seen a driver that drives the way that Corey Day does, and I think his style is really going to fit Darlington. Only concern here is he's never run at Darlington before. He might have a truck start here, but it was pretty uneventful. Worried about Corey Day's ability to put a full race together at a place like Darlington. He's pretty wild. And like I said, the
Mhm.
way he drives his car is just so volatile. But if he runs a full race, stays out of trouble, I think he runs in the top 5. He was good in practice. He was incredible at Las Vegas. We're gonna have to deal with Corey Day. I just worry about his ability to put together a full race at a place like Darlington.
Yeah, I think we've seen him sideways every single race
It's
so far this season, but he hasn't wrecked a lot for someone that's been sideways, has started wrecks and all that.
And he doesn't slow down. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable. He'll drift all the way around the corner and bang like the third fastest lap on track. It's very unique what he's able to do in
mhm.
a race car.
But it begs the question: tire management is so important at Darlington. Can
Yeah,
you
and
get away with doing all that at the probably one of the most like um, I'm trying to think of the right way to put this. One of the tracks that requires the most careful
yeah,
tire management and fall off control. It just seems
Absolutely.
kind of antithetical to his driving style, even if he's been able to get away with it so far. Because like Las Vegas, there's not a whole lot of fall off there,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's just
So
fast laps over and over again. Darlington, you can't do that.
yeah, so that'd be the major concern here. Now, when we start getting to like the Kansases of the world, I have a bit of interest, especially if we see a good run here from your boy Corey Day.
If if you haven't before, if they have an in-car camera on NASCAR.com for Corey Day, I encourage you to watch it for a few laps, and you'll see some things you've never seen before in a race car. It's pretty incredible. But yeah, he's still a bit of a wild man. Don't know how much success he'll have at managing equipment. Never had to really do that before. So some question marks, but I do think there's a lot of upside here for Corey Day.
Mm-hmm. And Max is only the Cup Series, right? Because I feel like they have
Yeah.
in-car for like everyone
Yes.
there.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
don't get that in
damn.
Canada. How many dominators? Probably at least one.
One. Just less
Yeah.
laps. There's
Yeah.
200 laps last week, and we've seen solo doms here 2 of the last 3 races, so definitely at least one.
Day or Jones versus Sammy and Sam Mayer. It's interesting. I don't know if I have an opinion on. I think you'll probably get lower ownership with Day and Jones, maybe, but I don't know. That's a tough one. I like Sammy Mayer, or I like
Oh,
Sammy
Sammy
Smith a
Smith.
lot.
Okay, I just now got him. Like, wait, 2 versus
Yeah.
one? Take the 2.
I
What?
like Sammy Smith a lot. I like Corey Day a lot. I don't like Sam Mayer as much, and I don't like Brandon Jones as much. So I'm not a whole lot of help in this comparison, but
I'm
I
kind of
think you're on
okay
the right
with
track.
Brandon Jones. I mean, it depends what you're spending up for. Also, who's that third piece of the puzzle that we're working with?
William Sawalich starts seventh, probably a little too high, but really confusing truck race for William Sawalich. Ended up
Mhm.
being an optimal run despite having a lot of trouble early in that race. Recovered well. Um, he's been okay at intermediates as of late. He's definitely improved, but to pay off a seventh place starting spot is a pretty tall order.
I mean, his odds compared to Creed are like, wow. Okay, so I'm not really sure what to make of this here. Just had the one good run at Gateway, but that's probably the least comparable track of all the intermediates to this one, even though it's the closest in actual size, besides maybe Nashville. I don't know. Again, the usual problem that we're dealt with Sawalich is so far he's been asked, but it's a $7,500 JGR Toyota at Darlington.
Yeah,
The lack of experience is probably going to be the tiebreaker for me.
I
And
agree.
also, I'm
Another
a
something to
hater.
consider when it comes to William Sawalich. Top five
Hmm.
pit crew on pit road so far this year. He's got a very elite pit crew. It's usually just getting him from 16th to 12th, not 5th to 2nd.
Hell yeah.
Um, Ross Sieg asking about Ryan Sieg. Very interesting. We'll get to Ryan
We're
Sieg
almost
here in
there.
just a minute. Want to talk about Harrison Burton real quick. He starts 14th. Darlington's a pretty good track for Harrison Burton in whatever he runs. It's just I don't know how much further than 14th he can push here.
Sam Hunt Racing has not looked good this season. Would you
Yeah.
agree?
Yeah, I mean there's both Burton and Thompson at times have shown ability, but they haven't put full races together at all, and they seem to fall off towards the end for sure.
Yeah, it's like I mean, Vegas is not liking them. I likes Burton a bit more this week, but really just a lot of times they're kind of in the back of the field and can't really find much of a reason for it other than just a lack. They've kind of lacked speed overall compared to previous years where they're a bit closer to JGR. So I don't know. A lot of pause here, and I just think that Burton's too expensive. If you're going to play any of the two, it's going to be Thompson, who we'll talk about eventually. Fingers crossed, but just an awkward spot for Burton here. You're paying a lot for someone that's starting in a spot where it's going to be hard for him to make optimal. And again, with him, completely ignore his results from 2021 on back. That was in way better equipment.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Ryan Sieg will start 22nd. Ross Sieg, very interested in the prospects. Cousin Ross Sieg, I assume. Um, yeah, Ryan Sieg has been really good at Darlington. It's been a pretty consistent track for him. I
Mm-hmm.
think the Chevrolet switch has had some growing pains. We didn't see him be super competitive at Phoenix or at Las Vegas.
It's given his brother the A car, apparently.
Yeah,
Kyle
the
C's
Kyle Sieg,
straight up been better.
Kyle Sieg has been better. Now, I do think we'll see some regression to his bad fortune, and I do think they'll get better as they kind of figure this Chevrolet um, body out. But starting 22nd, he's a fine play. He's priced a little up from where I would like to see him. We kind of know what we're going to get out of Russ or Ryan Sieg, and it's kind of 12th to 15th. And in the Chevrolets, it seems to have been more like 15th to 20th. He'll be a popular play. It's still a play I'll probably match the field on, but I'm probably not going to be too overweight on Ryan Sieg here.
Yeah, the field. This is going to be an interesting one for the field with ownership because it's a good place differential play in theory, and he's cheaper now. But he has been a chalk bomb all year at this point, and he's been like the highest owned guy on the slate and has screwed people. I think it's going to tamper his ownership a bit here. And I would almost say it's a buy low situation, but like speed wise, we've seen it the last couple of weeks. Like Sieg, like again, Kyle Sieg literally is faster in both practice qualifying and the race. And it
Yeah.
seems to be kind of the same thing here. So I don't know. I think it may just be the switch from Ford to Chevy, but it's a tough one. He was just bad at like literally his best track last week at Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with the switch to Chevrolet. I think they'll get it sorted out. Kyle will get a win before Ryan. I don't know.
Larson,
You've got the family insight, Ross. Are they putting all their eggs in Kyle Sieg's basket now? Because Kyle Sieg, we'll talk about him shortly.
Good value
He's been
play.
very, very good. Raja Caruth will start 19th. Just kind of seems like where Raja should run. Maybe there's a little upside here, but I kind of see Raja on intermediates, his track history at Darlington, it's all kind of been around 19th.
I mean, Vegas is calming down on him, but his odds are still like inflated. I don't see it with this equipment. I don't know why he's been like 30 to 1, 40 to 1, now 60 to 1. Like there's no way on planet Earth he should have better odds than like the Ryan Siegs of the world.
Yeah, and while they do this Jordan Anderson car when Raja's in it, they get a lot of help from JRM, but this crew is a significant step down. This 32 crew that Raja has ranked 17th. The other JR cars are much closer to the top 10, so some pit road concerns as well. Jeb Burton seems like a pretty decent play. He was pretty bad in practice, but that's nothing new for Jeb Burton. He's had some pretty terrible run on intermediates as of late, but maybe a return to one of his better tracks, Darlington, is just what he needs. Kind of know what we're going to get out of him, and it's probably a 15th place run, which is probably just about close enough to get there if he gets a couple fast laps or something on the way. So I'm pretty bullish on Jeb Burton here.
I like this play, and it's almost for the same reason I like Timmy Hill last night. Of course, the price is quite a bit different here. It's just he's not going to run all that great, but he has like elite strategy at the end of the race to get a way better finish than he should. We see it consistently here. Like if you look at his track history, it looks like he is a perma top 15. Speed wise, that's just not the case. He's like 20th fastest in the field all the time. He's just a finishing merchant. Been on a really bad stretch of finishes at these intermediate tracks, but like certainly due for some positive regression there. Like again, top 15 from him would not, I mean, that's just like an average result for him here. And at 7K, he's like playable in Larson lineups. Like we're getting really cheap with Jeb or for like a mid 7 kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Carson Hocevar just ran his qualifying lap at Darlington. I'll give you even odds. Did he hit the wall or not?
What do you think?
He hit the wall, still qualified 5th right now.
I mean, yeah, it's just on brand.
But
I hope he qualifies 5th overall, so I can just fade him really hard.
Getting beat by Riley Herbst right now in qualifying. Shout out Riley Herbst. Alex LeBay starts 34th. They just looked at his track history and priced him up at 6,800. This is way too high for the 91 DGM car. This is a sprinkle play. It's just way too expensive.
Yeah, no. This team kind of sucks now. This team has missed the field, like legitimately on poor speed a lot. At 35th in practice, like, yeah, the pricing is I don't know, just pure track history pricing. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy.
Bit of a finishing merchant back then, but it's hard to really look that far back only, especially with this team being on a massive downward trend.
Parker Retzlaff will start 5th. Shout out Parker Retzlaff. Top like 12 in points right now. A couple top 10s, 12th at Las Vegas last week. Then goes out and puts it 5th in qualifying. Be really difficult for him to pay off this starting spot, but still worth noting. Parker Retzlaff is the man.
He's fast as shit. I don't know at this point. Is it just a thing? We've also seen Alfredo be fast as shit with this team.
Yeah, the Viking Motorsports cars certainly seem to be better this year.
Yeah, it's interesting. But starting 5th, I mean, what can you do? It's
Yeah.
kind of been the case, with Alfredo. He started fourth as well. They've been fast, and unfortunately, they've been very fast during qualifying. So it kind of just doesn't matter for DFS perspective. But I mean, if Bro can hang around in like the top like 10, maybe. But again, this is also a long run race, and we haven't really seen him be all that impressive in the long run here. But he has shown speed.
What do we got to do to get Parker Retzlaff in a JRM car just to see, just to figure some stuff out?
The right injuries. I don't know.
Yeah, or that an influx in cash, I think would probably fix the problem. Dean Thompson starts 33rd. This is another play I really like. He's been really good on intermediates, top 15 pretty consistently, and ran top 20 at Darlington last year before he had shedded the uh, wreck merchant identity. Um,
Well,
he's been really good as of late. Didn't have a great run at Las Vegas, and like you said earlier, these Sam Hunt cars have been a little sketchy. But in theory, this is a really good spot.
yeah, it is a bit encouraging seeing him at 200 to 1 and not like 400 to 1 like last week. But
Yeah,
um, yeah, starting 33rd, this is going to be one of the better plays on the slate. He's gotten cheaper as a result of really just his Las Vegas run. Yeah, I don't mind this at all. Toyotas, I'd prefer them at Darlington to Las Vegas anyway.
sure. Jim Parrish, would you fade Chastain or not? I will probably be a little underweight on Chastain. I think you're kind of
Hmm.
chasing something we haven't really seen out of Chastain since the late 2010s, and that's a dominant race at a place like Darlington. Remember
He's too
that race when
expensive.
that first, I don't remember if it was his first or second race that he got a good car. He got to drive the 42 for Chip Ganassi Racing.
Mhm.
First time he's ever been in good equipment, and he led like 100 laps at Darlington before getting in a wreck with Kevin Harvick. We need another performance like that, and we haven't seen that in some time.
Yeah, but I would say if he gets the lead somehow, he's certainly capable of hanging on to it for a bit. But again, he
Absolutely,
has
be
to
near
quit
impossible to
being.
pass him.
Yeah, he's got to quit being so Chastain, and I don't know if he can.
Nicholas Sanchez will be a popular play. He starts 27th. I just have so many concerns about these Ford cars. Have said it all season. Certainly can't rely on this intermediate track history that he
Hmm.
put together when he was with Big Machine Racing. This has proven to be a pretty significant step down in equipment for him. I think he'll be a popular play, but I don't know. We're still waiting to see Nicholas Sanchez run half decent in this Ford.
I mean, he ran pretty well at what was it, Phoenix,
Yeah,
Coda, right? But yeah, it's just been wrecks the last few weeks, so it's hard to say. 55 to 1 though is wild.
yeah. I
I
think
have to
that's
see how that
just.
moves.
I
Yeah.
suspect that's people chasing track history, similar to why
Hmm.
Alex Labay is nearly 7,000 salary. It's a fine play. I find myself wanting to be more overweight on Dean Thompson and maybe
Yeah.
underweight on Nicholas Sanchez. It's just these cars haven't been great so far this year.
Hmm. But I do like Nick. I do like Nick's skill set, just at intermediate tracks in general. So that was
Yeah,
by far his bread and butter in the truck series as well. So I,
absolutely.
I don't mind it. I just hate how chalky it's going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to get leverage on, and probably not a guy you want in 40% of your lineups.
My goat, Brennan Poole.
Brennan Poole starts
Unfortunately,
23rd. Will finish 19th or 20th. Will score you 30 points. That's unless there's some carnage, probably.
yeah, we're the top 20 odds because I mean 500 to 1 is crazy. His scheme though, his Biffle tribute scheme, on point. Loving
Yeah.
that. That might get him an extra position right there, just off of aura, but it's still not going to be enough to be fantasy relevant. Unfortunately, I'm so sorry, Brennan Poole.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
probably need some carnage to pay
yeah,
off. Just started qualifying too well and
hmm
ruined himself as DFS goat.
yeah. You start qualifying 28th again. We'll be back on.
Anthony Alfredo starts 21st, just a little too high. He was okay in practice, but he went out early. Wouldn't get too fall too in love with these practice times. Darlington hasn't been a great track for him, and even his intermediate runs, the ones that he's good at, as Chase Briscoe now hits the wall. Um, I don't know. Just would kind of need a bit of an outlier run to pay off this 21st place starting spot.
Yeah, Viking has been really interesting. It seems like they've had one car that's hit every single week, and the other one is very pedestrian. And all signs point to that being Retzlaff this week with the speed.
Yeah,
Alfredo just not a terrific track for him at all in any series.
yeah, and you
Yeah, the
go to the
team.
pit stop analyzer. This team, I can find it, has been the better of the Viking Motorsports teams but certainly a step down from the big guys that we talked about. So some concern there as well.
Yup.
Is 1,600 too much salary left on the table for single entry? Allgaier, Smith, Creed, Day, Thompson, and Sanchez.
You got to
It's
go to Bell
certainly,
from Malgaier there. Like, yeah, it's too much.
it seems, yeah, it seems 1,600 might be a little too much for my comfort level, but I mean, it's all just how comfortable you are leaving that much on the table.
Yeah, you can jump up from Chalk Sanchez to a more interesting play. Like, there are many ways you can improve. I'd probably leave like 800 max probably at a race like this. Maybe 1,000 with how, big the gaps are up at the very, very top. But even then, that's kind of pushing it.
Yeah. Alfredo's practice times did seem decent for sure. He went out a little early. I think when I went and extrapolated that second run, he didn't jump off the page as much. But yeah, certainly some reason to be optimistic. Certainly some reason to be optimistic when it comes to Jeremy Clements, who starts 30th and is suddenly just like a B plus team and driver.
Yeah, his 24th at Las Vegas was insane given how many times he wrecked.
Yeah. Yeah.
The speed's been crazy. The Phoenix run, obviously, was nuts.
Another guy, I wouldn't look too much into these practice times at all, but
he had an issue early, actually. He corded a tire. So his average speed is going to be like good, right? It's just he didn't run too many laps compared to some other people.
Yeah, but even like Jeremy Clements before he had such a great start to the season, him starting 30th at 6,000 salary would still be a pretty good play. I like this play. I think it's an okay spot to match the field or even get a little bit of leverage.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Sieg starts 16th, as bullish as we all are on Kyle Sieg all of a sudden. Probably not starting 16th.
I was going to say about Clements real quick too. Even if you take out the the recent addition of speed to the team, if you look back historically, like he's capable of running a top 20 here anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, Kyle Sieg, I mean, bro's fast at Las Vegas, like legit fast, like all race.
Yeah.
Why do you qualify 16th, bro? Why?
Because he's fast now. He's good. Yeah, Kyle Sieg's the GOAT.
I just wish he had couldn't even got loose or something. Like I wanted to smash this play, dude.
Yeah. Honestly, obviously not a great DFS spot. Matt DiBenedetto did not make the race. We don't need to talk about him. Patrick Staropoli will start 28th. As far as I know, this is his first start at Darlington. That's a bit of a cause for concern. And he seemed a little over his head at times this year. He's grinded out some good finishes, kind of 20th to 25th. I think this is a good play. I think this will be a popular play, especially in Larson lineups where you're struggling to find value. But I don't know. We kind of, I always worry a little bit when it's your first start at Darlington.
Is there any other track where you worry more about a first timer, especially a first timer and equipment that's pretty good? Because outside of like Corey Day, Patrick Staropoli has been sideways more than anyone in this series. Super scary. The speed's only other one there. There's upside. It's just like, yeah.
And he's probably going to be, like I said, a little overowned just based on people trying to force him in with Larson. So going to be very difficult to get leverage on. And we need an outlier run at a track where we don't often see first time kind of outlier runs.
Yeah,
maybe Martinsville would be the other one that concerns me with first. But even Martinsville, that track type is much more common coming up through the ranks than anything like Darlington. Staropoli will have never run anything like Darlington.
Yeah, it's such a unique track. And you're in the 5K range and below. This is where you're starting to see, okay, if these guys have ownership, you can still get leverage on them by pairing them with someone not named Kyle Larson.
Yeah, absolutely. JJ Yaley, not super relevant. He starts 20th. So the first signs of life we've seen out of this number 5 Hettinger team.
Came from JJ Yaley, of all people.
But probably not going to be super fantasy relevant. Blake Perkins, we kind of know what we're going to get, and it's probably going to be around 24th to 26th. Certainly not going to pay off a 26th starting spot.
He was not bad at Las Vegas, actually. That whole race, he kind of qualified a bit farther up than we expected. He also just kind of ran up there very consistently. Yeah, not going to get you optimal in DFS. There's no point really talking about it, but I don't think he's going to run like he did in previous years, like 25th to 30th. Maybe 20th to 25th is more the expectation now, but still, just starting a bit too high to matter.
Yeah, Ryan Ellis as Brad Keselowski goes to the top of the board. Shout out, Brad. Ryan Ellis will start 36th. This is a fine play. This will probably be the most popular kind of value play. He should run towards the top 25 here. He's been pretty consistent. Didn't have a great run at Las Vegas, but was running fine. Um, just probably going to be a little over-owned again. People trying to jam him in with Kyle Larson.
Yeah, and you almost have to ask, like, if you're really going for Kyle Larson, why not save 1,000, take someone else starting right next to him at no ownership? Like, I don't know if he's all that much different than the like Joey Gazes of the world, but we'll see.
Yeah. Keselowski immediately loses the pole to Reddick, who takes it by 4/10. That's pretty incredible. That's a crazy lap. Austin Green hasn't had a lot of success on ovals as of late.
He did last week comparatively. Like his average running position of 23rd is a notable improvement.
I think the concern here is just Darlington.
That's the issue.
Darlington. Yeah.
I haven't almost like if he does well here, he's another guy I kind of have circled for Kansas because most people still view him as a road course only guy. But like SVG, these guys can improve at ovals.
And Austin Green has oval wins in the ARCA series.
Yeah. So we'll
Probably
see.
Not this week, though.
Times the fall off was pretty bad. So, not this week.
Very Carnage dependent. Josh Bilicki is a fine sprinkle play. Not a ton of upside here. Should run kind of top 25. Might get you close to where you need to be, but more experience than a lot of the guys in this range, which is probably the only positive thing here.
Yeah, Bilicki backed his way into a 23rd last week, so don't think that that was really based off of like much skill or anything. But he's kind of done that the last 2 times he's drove at this track. But I think he ended up optimal last week because he was just started dead ass last and snuck his way into 23rd at the very, very end. But his average running position was like 30th. So he just needs to pull off some very Josh Bilicki things here. Yeah, it's another one of those kind of random drop in the hat sort of plays. But I don't mind it just compared to a lot of these guys because looking at this whole range, the whole range is pretty yikes. 5,500, pretty much anyone under Ellis. I've kind of found my way onto Bilicki in a few spots here.
Yeah, it's certainly not a bad play. Certainly one you can squeeze in. LeVar Scott starts 29th. That's probably a little too high, and I believe it's his first start at Darlington too. So some concern there.
No, unfortunately.
I am a Josh Williams truther, but even I cannot make a case to play him starting 17th. Josh Williams in a DGM car, it just works. I don't know why, but it certainly won't be enough to pay off a 17th starting spot, I don't think.
Yeah.
Myatt Snyder in this RJR car, I have some concerns about this equipment. They broke at Phoenix. They got in a wreck at Atlanta. It's a fine sprinkle play, but I worry about this equipment more than anything.
He might be out of money at this point. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, Joey Gase starts 37th. He's another fine kind of punt value play. He will probably run just inside of the top 30. If this race goes Kyle Larson's way, that becomes interesting. You can get some exposure to him. Nathan Bird, not nearly as interesting to me, though.
Yeah, Bird 0 reps. You can see Gase. His finish history kind of tells you what to expect out of him with these tracks. It's really tough. Again, this range down low, there's just no one that sticks out as a decent play. Really, I mean, Garrett Smith is overqualified as fuck. Don't even talk about him. Yikes.
Yeah, starts a little too high.
This range is so bad. I mean, Ellis, yeah, he's gonna get the Larson ownership for sure. Is the best play after Ellis just Josh Bilicki?
It's certainly Josh Bilicki, or if you're going with a Larson kind of run, then it's probably Joey Gase. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of options in this range.
Yeah, and that's kind of the issue here. That's why I think guys like Clements, guys like Nick Sanchez, guys like Dean Thompson are going to be very, very popular because I've ran some Larson lines. So you can make a pretty comfortable one just jamming those guys in and then getting more of that lower-ish value. I wish there was a better singular play all the way down low in like the 4K range that just kind of made sense. Like I think Bilicki the week previous where he was just starting dead last, and it's like sure. So yeah, it could be I don't know. It's a tough slate if you're going the Larson route. That's why I'm just not going the Larson route, especially if there being 50 less laps around. I think running with Bell as your core, you can make a lot of really solid lineups. get you a secondary guy like a Brandon Jones. Jones Bell has been a pretty good combination for me. You can even go Bell Allgaier. You got to get a little bit on the cheap end, but guys like Sanchez, Clements, Thompson, they kind of make it work. Even Ryan Sieg at this point, if you're not playing Larson, Sieg is more of a value play than like a third option.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's head over to the domination station. Not oh, we want this one. Boom.
You're gonna get so much Bell.
Yeah,
Every
I suspect.
optimizer I think is going to jam Bell. It's just the only thing that makes sense. And also, you need to go to the O'Reilly Series race.
Oh, I'm in the Cup Series. My
Yeah.
fault. We're going to do 150 lineups. We want at least one dominator here. 13, 14% randomization.
Just touch more than truck still. O'Reilly's still been nuts. I'd say 15. Tomorrow, what are we doing? Like 25?
Yeah, I got to go back and watch practice again. But yeah, we'll have to figure out what to do with that. Let's give that a quick run to see what we get. I suspect we'll get a lot of Bell.
By the way, but
say again.
You're doing optimal instead of a tournament.
Oh, my fault.
I guess, yeah. Yeah. We should get a ton of Bell. Probably a ton of Sanchez, Clements. Yep.
Yep, just about what you would expect. So you'll have to go in there. Bullish on Ross Chastain, which is interesting. But yeah, how much Larson does it take naturally? Not very much. Only 10% Larson, 8% Larson even.
It's Chastain Bell is going to be a popular one too with the optimizers. I'm not as big on Larson or on Chastain, but he's a good mean projection. Just with him being like the fourth best option, having the most play stiff of anybody up front.
So there it is. Let's see if we got. I doubt we got any odds yet. We might have. Let's see.
I don't know. I'm scared of these odds after the host of our shit yesterday. Like, what was that about? Why did Heim drop? Oh my god! Here we go. Beautiful. Never remember all the guys I was super interested in. Oh, Sanchez from 55 to 80. So that's a bit of a correction there.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. Larson and Bell kind of goes to show you how close they are. Plus 175 to plus 250. The fact that Larson is priced so up, like I said, I think if you're playing Larson in fantasy, you're probably better off just playing him at plus 175.
This couldn't be a situation like yesterday where it had the same odds as before on 365 because not a lot of change here. I would expect Larson and Bell to be a little bit better. That's about where they were.
Let me go see and check on.
It was Larson 2.65, Bell 4 on DraftKings before qualifying. So I mean, Larson getting the pull, I would imagine, would be better.
Pretty similar on BetMGM as well.
Yeah. Okay.
And nothing jumps off the page here. Like I said, if you want to play Larson in fantasy, I think you're better off playing him in.
Yeah, I've got to knock Chastain down a bit for sure. He's dropped from 9 to 13, seeming like less and less of an option here. So I will definitely update his projection. Other than that, liking Sammy Smith is the 5th favorite.
Yeah,
starting way back in the field, like that's solid. Creed, that was the one I was looking at. He was 10 to 1 to open or 11 in decimal, and now he's 17. That seems more correct. Love and Hill also pretty decent drop for them.
Yeah, very interesting. Nothing here jumping out to me in terms of actual plays, though. Honestly,
yeah. Corey Day from 40 to 1 to 22 to 1. Big jump there.
The truth.
It's interesting.
They watch the show.
Yeah,
they know Corey Day's the man. Yeah, nothing here that really interests me. I probably won't do much betting on this slate unless top 5, top 10 odds come out, but I doubt they will. This seems about correct. Like I said, maybe a little bit on Larson, but probably not. Win pick, Taco. Do you have a win pick? And I think you can pick whoever here because Larson and Bell are close enough. So I don't think there's like one true favorite. If you want to go with Larson, I think it's fair.
I took Bell yesterday. I'm going to take Bell today, and I'm probably going to take Bell tomorrow unless because Hamlin's just kind of cheap. So more Bell for me. Love Bell at Rhythm Tracks.
I'll take Larson then. Cool. I don't mind taking Larson. I think there is a situation where he just dominates this race. I just think it's a very, very difficult path to the optimal.
Well, I mean,
with
it's
Christopher Bell involved.
they're such the clear favorites because the third option, Allgaier, just doesn't feel like he's going to win. Maybe he'll win and lead 8 laps because something happens to Larson and Bell at the end. Their tires go to shit. I don't know, but like, it just really feels like a bushwhacker week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Fastlap.io for the research kind of board we use. You can sort by tire code, track characteristic, track type, season. You also have pit stop analysis for both the top series. Once we get a couple more truck series, I'll make a pit stop analyzer for the truck series as well. And you can go over there, put your email in up top, and you'll get a newsletter before every race. I sent out the Xfinity one this morning at like 10 a.m. You'll get top 5 at that track, top 5 at that tire, and top 5 pit crews so far this season right in your inbox. Very easy. Get signed up over at fastlap.io. And if you're not a DFS Army member, you can go to dfsarmy.com/NASCAR. Link for that is in the bio. Get access to all the tools we used here today, as well as the domination station. Run 150 lineups or up to 600 lineups in the blink of an eye. You also get access to the Discord where we talk about this stuff 24/7. And there's people in that chat much more intelligent than you and I, Taco.
Oh,
Should be
yeah.
a good race. Should be a good race tomorrow. Tyler Reddick held on to the pole by about 2/10 over Bubba Wallace. That should be a fun race too. Lots of tire
Ooh.
fall off. How is Tyler Reddick going to manage his tires?
23 front row.
We got to figure it all out. But first, we can enjoy this Xfinity race. Until then, we'll talk to you all in the Discord. We'll be back tomorrow around noon for the Cup Show. Get signed up at dfsarmy.com. Get signed up or put your email in over at fastlap.io. Taco, the famous words.
All right, boys. Helmets up. Let's go get that money tonight.